All right, guys, welcome to the monthly C-Lab Cannabis Lab events. This is our second one this month and our second time back here at the Billionaire Brands offices and also home to the NFT heirs. Two really cool names, by the way. It's been a really good spot. We want to thank them for allowing us to do multiple events here. I want to give Brian Breach a second to tell us about this place and go into, here, come up here.
Awesome, thank you. Everyone make some noise. Let's go. Look, I come from the hip hop space, so I tell people to put their hands in the air and wave them like they just don't care. So thank you all for being here. I'm Brian Breach. I'm an influencer, TEDx speaker, social media guru. I do all kinds of things. I hate the word influencer, by the way. It's a little bit overplayed. Thank you all for coming to the Billionaire Brands offices. What do we do here? Billionaire Brands has a ton of brands underneath them. They're a publicly traded company, and we just merged or kind of created a new company called NFT Heirs, and we are working with major brands in order to create their NFT projects. So we're about to start working with the University of Florida, and we got a couple NFT projects I can't really mention, and we just started a Sleepy Joe project. Don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on, but it is a damn near funny project. So before you all go, I want to give everybody the Discord to hop in that project and give everyone here a whitelist spot. How many people are in NFTs these days? You know,
you guys are welcome to raise your hand too.
Yeah, we're going to get the NFT going for the gentleman we just spoke in the conference room. But I want to thank you all for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause one more time. Appreciate it. Todd, you take it away, and
appreciate it.
Let's have a great event. Appreciate
Awesome.
you guys.
So thank you guys. Tonight is Cannabis, Crypto, and NFTs. We're going to be back. It's going to be Thursday, the 21st. That's the second day of Benzinga. We're going to have our legacy and corporate sitting down at the table together panel. That's going to be a great one. Location's going to be TBD. Obviously, be after Benzinga, so we'll try to do something tied into the conference there. My screen shut off, and I'm very sorry about that. On the 19th, which is subject to moving, we're going to do the Cannabis Pitch Slam. That's going to be an investor pitch slam. Should be really good, educational. We'll have some of the top investors in the industry judging, and then as well some great startups pitching there. On the 26th of May, we have technology and cannabis. That's going to be another good one. Mo is running that panel. And then the last thing, not the least for sure, is on the 3rd and 4th of June is the C-Lab Conference and Expo. This is going to be an awesome event. It is a national style event. So just like we have tonight, we will have speakers from across the country, except they won't be in these little boxes here. They'll actually be on stage. We'll be able to interact with them and everything else. I've said this once, I've said this 100 times. The conference in 2019 changed my career. It launched me into the cannabis space. I highly recommend attending it, no matter what level of the cannabis industry you're in. So with that being said, please welcome tonight's speaker, because I'm sure you want to learn more about what they're talking about than what we have coming up. VIJAY, VIJAY, come on down. If you guys don't know VIJAY, VIJAY is counsel at Fox Rothschild. He is also on every third cannabis panel. It is a requirement. By law, it's in his contract, but he does a great job at moderating that. Also on the panel tonight, we have Alex Todd, the CEO of SAUCEY Farms and Extracts. We have ROIE, the CEO of Ginger Commerce and co-founder of Ease. We have Ryan Hunter, who is the founder of the Crypto Cannabis Club and the NFTokers. We have Matt Cohen, the CEO of Heisman, who is the CEO of one of the greatest sports cannabis companies in the history of the world. And then we have Brandon Howard, the CEO of Higher Life Dispensary. All these companies are in the cannabis industry and are very forward thinking, looking at the next phase of where business in general is going. And tonight we're going to learn about how that applies to the cannabis space. So without further ado, all yours, my friend.
Appreciate it, Todd. And thank you, C-Lab, for putting all this on. And thank you guys for taking your time on a Wednesday evening to join us to talk about not only cannabis, but how Web3 interacts with cannabis. So we're going to talk about a lot of terms tonight that you may be familiar with, you may not be familiar with. We have NFTs, DAOs, DeFi, Metaverses, and different iterations of that, and how that all coalesce and intersect with cannabis. But as we kind of talk about this, I want to kind of set the stage so everyone's on the same platform, because this is a new area of law, new area of not only law, but just interaction, social, e-commerce. So I kind of want to kick it off to Matthew Cohen to kind of give us just a little lay of the land on a macro level of where we are in this space in 2022 Q2. So Matt, I guess, could you just kind of give us a brief overview of where we are, kind of the state of the union?
Yeah, can you guys hear me all right? Cool. So yeah, so one of my pet peeves is the incorrect usage of metaverses, right? Although that's what it is, and we'll just continue going with that way until it changes. But I want to zoom out a little bit so people understand that this isn't new. This is a vision that really sparked in 1992. It's a novel called Snow Crash, and that's where metaverse was coined. And it's a pretty deep, like, philosophical vision of the future. True metaverse is where there's actually no distinction between these virtual and these physical realities. And I know, I'm sure people watch Black Mirror, or maybe you've seen Ready Player One. Those are not really as science fiction as you may have thought they were when you watched them. So we're actually heading in that direction. And then Facebook made the bold move to rebrand as Meta last year. And that's when, the term metaverse went bananas. So now everyone just says if it's a virtual world, it's a metaverse. And, we're going to stick to that for purposes of tonight. But I just want everyone to understand, like, how serious this is and where we're trending on a macro level. So I kind of want to take it back for a second and really point out how long this has been happening. So if you look at The Sims, right? This is the year 2000, they launched The Sims. It was a video game, right? So it wasn't technically a metaverse or anything like that yet, but it sold 200 million copies plus countless more pirated. This is the first time that humans were showing, like, a true fascination with being able to take, like, a digital avatar of themselves and have, like, a digital job and, earn this internal currency and then buy these items and, paint your home and do all these certain things, right? So that was incredible. And then from more of like a first person perspective with an open world concept, I would equate that to GTA 3. I'm sure there's a lot of Grand Theft Auto fans that are watching. And so that was really the first time that I felt like, from a first person perspective, you had this open world where you can start navigating. And so those were like the early pieces to start creating, metaverse. But the first true metaverse was called Second Life. And that was, in my opinion, they're visionaries in the metaverse space, Linden Labs. And so they launched that in 2003. And it was really kind of like an open world Sims, except they created like a real economy. There was real money transacting. People were developing skins for the avatars and they were selling them. People were doing concerts in there. So, once again, this is early as 2003. So there's almost 20 years that this has been happening. And then, they tried to do a VR project called Sansar in 2017. They sold it in 2020. Again, I think they were just too early. But now I want to fast forward to where we're at now and what's happening. So we're going to talk like the centralized component first in terms of metaverse. So look at things like Roblox, for example, right? Roblox, there's over 200 million monthly active users, right? And it's kind of like an open world game. You have, Minecraft, you have Fortnite, right? Like there's a ton of people that are playing that on a monthly basis. And so, what I'm looking at is, all right, people are excited by this metaverse concept, but let's go back to what I mentioned as far as true metaverse, which I think is going to incorporate virtual reality, right? Because once you have a headset on and it becomes a first person interaction, it changes the entire dynamic. It's way different than being on an actual computer screen. And so if you look at that, you have things like, Rec Room, you have VR chat, you have Altspace VR, which shameless plug, Heisman's actually working on developing a Heisman house, which will be like a sports bar / consumption lounge where we can all gather and socialize and hang out and play games within the metaverse, but that'll be VR within in partnership with Rocket City. But point is like, now you start looking at that and the amount of users, monthly active users on that is significantly lower, right? But the technology is just now coming. So I'm saying all that to say, like, we're going to start talking about these decentralized metaverses because I'm about to pass the mic to those who are really doing awesome stuff within those worlds, but understand where this is really heading as people start adopting this technology. And, real quick, just to really scale this out and show you how crazy this is. So Facebook, who rebranded as Meta, was going all in on this concept. They also bought Oculus back in 2014. So now they own the hardware and they can control the price on that. They have 3 billion monthly active users who use just the Facebook app. And they just launched their Metaverse Horizon Worlds out of private beta, and they have about 300,000 users. So they're going all in on that, and like, just understand how crazy this is going to become, soon. So don't ignore it. It's not a game. It's not a fad. And I will pass the mic to those of you that are working in the decentralized metaverses to drop some knowledge there.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Matt. And, you kind of gave a brief history and kind of understood like where we're going, where we're headed. but I kind of want to kind of dive into those who are actually operating right now within those type of virtual worlds. So, you know, with that, I kind of want to pass it to Alex Todd and Brandon Howard. Just talk about, you know, what you guys are doing right now today and how it intersects with cannabis and the metaverses, specifically Decentraland.
You want to take
Go
this
ahead,
one, Todd?
Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon. Kick it off.
First, I want to thank everybody for this opportunity, man. I really appreciate, the opportunity to talk to everybody about this. So, like, with e-commerce, I wanted to do something different and bring like a glorifying shopping experience from from a real life experience into the metaverse. So with COVID going on and like people not being able to interact with each other and stuff, it kind of affected a lot of retail businesses. So I just sat down and I brainstormed about how can I separate myself from different brands and do something different within the metaverse as a brand and a retail business. So as I studied about the metaverse and the community, I really wanted to be a part of that. So I just made a bold move, jumped into the metaverse. I mean, it's a fun experience. You can go in first person mode with your avatar, walk around a store or a dispensary. You can actually shop from the register and it'll ship to your door. So instead of jumping out of the metaverse, you can actually go to the register order, go back into the metaverse and navigate around. So I wanted to be on the forefront of that for cannabis. And that was my phase one. And for phase two, I wanted to bring actual marijuana to the metaverse too. So with crypto, NFT being really popular, I think cannabis was a good fit within those categories.
So, what's up, guys? Nice to meet everybody. Brandon, basically, just to reiterate what like Matt was talking about earlier, to me, the metaverse was just like watching my kids playing Roblox and watching, my son on Fortnite. And to me, that's already a built out metaverse where people are coming every day, spending money. I'm actually a rookie also pretty much in this space, or I wouldn't say rookie, but I think, most of us are rookies in this space. But, I own a whole bunch of NFTs. I know I've been, trying to always forward think with SAUCEY on what the next big thing will be, how we can get eyeballs, how we can get attention, how we can, reach the masses as best as possible. And, when it comes to metaverses and when it comes to, what we know of these metaverses, it's what better place to try to get your brand established in something that people can log into every single day. So when Brandon hit me up and he said, listen, I built out this, great thing, I don't even know the platform or how to use, to be honest with you, the where SAUCEY is right now. Like I'm not so sophisticated, but I know that eventually we're going to be able to put on some type of hardware, some type of goggles, or go, just like my kids are on Xbox and be able to link with the community. And, at this point, SAUCEY, we're like I said, we're always trying to forward think. And in terms of the NFT space, we're trying to figure out how to navigate the NFT space. And we're trying to figure out how to, what we want to do is create NFT/cannabis lounges in some of the biggest states out there, so people can come in and give some type of utility when you purchase this NFT from us, where they can use the lounges. You can have we have your own lockers in the lounges where you can leave your cannabis products there, and eventually in legal states, eventually get for these lounges to become actual dispensaries and actual places that you can recreationally smoke. So we're just trying to forward think and trying to figure out which direction this whole metaverse play really goes. We really don't know how, even like places like Sandbox that are probably some of the most popular ones, a lot of people that I speak to don't even know how to log in and get to a metaverse or whatever, quote unquote, Sandbox and all of these other metaverses that are created. To me, like I said, the easiest way they're not called metaverses, but the most comparable thing that I see right now is like Matt said earlier is, Fortnite and Roblox and things in that nature. And eventually, like you said, whether it's going to be Facebook or whether it's going to be sandbox, or someone maybe hopefully on this panel will create something amazing that that we can all bring our brands to, and bring eyeballs to our brands, and eventually use it obviously to connect the cannabis community and other communities to what we are selling and what we are preaching. So that, to me, once Brandon told me that we have an opportunity to be one of the first dispensaries in a metaverse, quote unquote, I pretty much did it just to see how wide and how big this this could be.
Yeah, right on. So you touched on a few things that I kind of want to delve into. You mentioned NFTs and utilities, and I know that NFTs is kind of a hot thing right now. I kind of started trading them myself just this past December, and I hold one of these NFTokers, and we also have Ryan Hunter here, who's the founder, or excuse me, CEO of NFTokers. And Ryan, I kind of just want to delve into that aspect of it. What essentially is an NFT? Is it a fad? Why is it so popular? And how does it intersect with cannabis? And what exactly are you doing with the NFToker project with Crypto Cannabis Club?
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. I'm Ryan Hunter. I'm the CEO of the Crypto Cannabis Club. And our NFTokers are an NFT collection that was launched right at the end of July last year, minted out the first week of August. And, I think NFTs are different things to different people, I would say. I think from a technical level, they're a digital asset that has been connected to a public registry called a blockchain that establishes that digital asset's unique identity, and it's irrefutably unique, and it's a certificate of authenticity. So usually I explain it to people, it's sort of like $100 bill. You have the seal of the United States, a serial number, and some counterfeiting measures on it. And that's basically what the technology is doing here. So yeah, people can right click and copy it, but that's the image, it's not the NFT. And so then the question becomes, well, what's the difference? And so I think from there are a number of reasons why people look at NFTs. I think if you watch children, they'll walk around with pockets full of pine cones and rocks and bottle caps. There's just a natural tendency for people to collect things. And so that goes back to, endless baseball cards, tea sets, Beanie Babies, Beanie Babies were a thing in the late 90s, but if you go on eBay today, they're still selling for tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. People get into collecting things. And so I think there's also that element of it. People look at NFTs because they think they'll appreciate in value, just the same way that people collect other art forms. And people look at different artists in different ways. And there's Jasper Johns, the famous artist, really abstract, and people look at that and go, well, I could do that. Or you have someone classic like a Monet, and people go, oh yeah, okay, I get that. And so it's just different perspectives on what people get into, and then there's this other element, and I think that's what we're trying to become at the Crypto Cannabis Club, which is more of a vibe. We are a social club, and NFTs are a core element of it. We're a social club for people that are into digital art, who are into cannabis, and who want to experience a cannabis community that spans the metaverse and the real world. We have two properties. We have a property in Sandbox that's under development. We have a property in CryptoVoxels that's just about to go live. We had our launch party in Decentralized back in September, had one of the largest events ever, I think, at the time. Anyway, we've probably been outpaced at this point, but that's a core part of us. And I'm about in about an hour going to join our weekly Twitter Space session with our community. So there's very much a virtual fabric that joins us together. And then in the real world, tomorrow I'm heading to Playa del Carmen with our community for our first spring break trip. And then we have events all over the place, Art Basel, NFT NYC. We had a big event at the MJ BizCon Cannabis Industry Conference. And then we've had smaller events in Denver and LA. We're going to have a 420 event for our members in downtown LA. And I think one of the coolest things is we're starting to have chapters form. Brandon is a member of one of our chapters in Indiana. So there's now local clubs where people are gathering in the real world. And then we have partnerships. We have brands that sponsor our community, and the way that they sponsor us is by providing discounts to our members. And I'm also excited to share that we just launched our own cannabis brand. And if you're in California, you can order it through Camp Nova online on their web platform. And they will deliver an eighth of cannabis to your home for $50. And then on the packaging, we're working with a partner called VIJAY. And if you scan the package, there's an RFID tag there, and you'll be able to download an NFT of the packaging art into your crypto wallet. You'll have to probably pay some transaction fees, which we call gas on the Ethereum networks. That's basically a transaction fee, but the NFT itself is free. So we hope that's a way that people will start to get to experience NFTs. And, to me, I really see this as we're in, I don't even know if we're in the first innings yet. I know it's amazing. Matt, thank you so much for going over the history. But I think for old guys like us, the digital natives with Roblox and Minecraft, they're already there. We're looking at all this as if it's new, but my kids send memes back and forth to their friends. They're digital assets, right? This is part of their language. This is part of the fabric of their lives. So I think, it's, again, I don't even know if we're in the first innings yet. We're in for a ride here, though. I'm excited to be a part of it. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for that. I tend to agree. Like, we are almost like the Web.1 in 1993. There was a lot of internet companies, a lot of booms, but you don't see those companies around here today. Yeah, we have large metaverses platforms like Decentraland, Sandbox, and Crypto Voxels, but are those assets that companies buy into, are they going to stay? Are they going to have the staying power? So, what I'm seeing is a lot of diversification in not only entering into Decentraland or Sandbox, but going all in multiple metaverses to scale out the bet, so to speak, because we don't know which one is going to be it. And as Matt alluded to, Horizons is up next. So we'll see what happens. But tying that all together in just, I guess, a Web.3 perspective, e-commerce perspective, Roy, if you can kind of touch on, what applications that you and your company are kind of getting involved with in this Web 3.0 type environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. So basically, a little primer on our company. At Ginger Commerce, we're basically a direct-to-consumer technology platform. And what that means is we work directly with cannabis brands. We have over 40 customers already. We launched about 6 months ago. And we take their inventory in our possession and distribute it throughout the state of California, which is the state we operate in currently. And then we sort of created an API layer on top of this very regulatorily complex product, which is cannabis. And on top of that, essentially, we've sort of democratized access to legal cannabis product and API-ified it in a way where it can now be sort of be a part of creative ideas and creative spaces that tie in the virtual world to the physical world. And we're going all in on the metaverse and some of these other sort of Web 3.0 technologies, because historically, though cannabis has been sold in dispensaries, primarily in the legal industry, dispensaries are very regulatorily complex. They're not everywhere. A lot of issues with entering a dispensary or even as a cannabis brand being allowed to be in that retail space because it's very limited. So we sort of turned things upside down. We created this technology and we created this open platform that tells any cannabis brand, work with us, we'll warehouse your product, we'll give you this technology. Now, do you want to create a virtual experience in the metaverse that ties your brand into the ability to actually deliver the physical good? Here's the technology to be able to do that. We're sort of right at the beginning of that. We've already had a couple of partners take us up on that, and they're actively building virtual experiences in the metaverse that tie in an e-commerce functionality. So now you can enter a virtual world and experience a virtual bud tender session, maybe enter a spot where only SAUCEY customers can hang out and you can talk about the latest drop or the latest product, or maybe everyone tokes up and then talks about how they feel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And sort of like ripping a page from Facebook and Google and Apple iOS, we want to be the operating system that enables that. We're not going to create these experiences, but we're creating this technology platform that allows creative people to connect the virtual world and whatever creative virtual experience they want to create with the physical world, which is actually delivering a cannabis good, extracting the need of a buyer at a dispensary, deciding whether or not he's on board with this or what the price is going to be, etc. So we connect the brand directly with their audience. Certainly there's an NFT component to this as well, because we can sort of verify an NFT ownership in order to allow you into the experience, etc., etc.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Roy. You touched on a few things. I kind of want to open it up to the entire group because all of you are somewhat involved in this, partnering with brands, right? Whether it be Ryan with your NFT project, Brandon partnering with Alex, with SAUCEY in your dispensary. So, I kind of wanted to understand a little bit, how do you see cannabis companies kind of taking advantage of Web 3.0 applications? What should they do? Should cannabis companies start an NFT? Should they buy land in different types of metaverses, or should they partner? What do you guys think about, the next step for a traditional licensed cannabis company?
So I'll take that one. And all these guys have experience working at licensed cannabis companies. So I think we can all take a turn at this. But for me, I think it's early days, right? And so I think you'll start to see the larger companies get involved first, just because they have more resources to put toward it. So I think we're starting to see some folks do collaborations on NFTs and partnerships is where I think it'll probably begin. But I think we'll start to see most consumer products companies start to set up their own Discord servers, start to, if they have a following, a fan club of any sort, I think they'll start to incorporate NFTs into those. So it's a way to organize people, and I think it's a way to reward your most loyal customers. So I think that they'll start to experiment with that, and hopefully we'll start to see more crypto adoption in dispensaries. I think that'd be great for all of us. So I'll just say my quick piece on that. But all these guys have
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, wait, can you guys hear me at all?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, I just wanted to chime in on that. I think the next decade is going to be largely defined by a blending of like physical and like digital, right? So it's at least adopting some type of strategy. And now, kind of to what Ryan was saying earlier, it's like, it's still the first inning. And that's very true, right? So everything I was talking about earlier was putting the teams together, figuring out how it works, right? It was all of that. But like now the game started, but it's very, very early. And so you're not missing out. It's not a rush. It's not any of that. It's just starting out. But the point is, you need to start at least opening your mind to it, try to start understanding it, and start adopting a strategy. You're going to need it over the next decade. So if your company or brand, you intend on it lasting, you're going to have to adopt some type of strategy. And mind you, it's a very complex ecosystem. There's multiple verticals and multiple ways to participate. But the point is, all of this is coming, and at least open up your mind and try to adopt a strategy. But it's not like overnight. So you got time.
What I would say to add to that is, since this is about cannabis and the crypto industry, one of the nice things about NFTs, DAOs, Metaverse, etc., is at least for now, it is unregulated space. And what that means is one of the hardest things for us in this space is to find access to consumers because we're blocked out from traditional advertising channels. So this is also a hedge specifically for the cannabis industry to be able to draw crowds into experiences to promote our products in the end of the day. And now, so part of promoting our products is generating an experience and giving additional value. But in the end, most of us here are, as a business, who at least need to sort of bring in revenue to sustain ourselves, even if we're nonprofit. And it's unfortunate that we're blocked out of sort of traditional channels. So I see this as not only an opportunity to do something cool and engaging, but this is a brand new channel that we all need to adopt because there's very few channels. I think the most successful advertising channel that I've seen in the cannabis space has been LinkedIn. It's really the only major tech platform that has adopted cannabis. You know, all of my connections are there. You can interact with people, you can post updates about your product and your company, etc. But how sad is it that literally a professional business network is the only place where we can talk about cannabis? But that's just the way of the world, and it's not going to change anytime soon. Might as well sort of grab the bull by the horns and create these experiences and start to draw audiences to our businesses.
I agree with that too. It's definitely an unregulated market, but it's also a different market too. If you're into cannabis, like I will definitely tap into it and definitely open your brain up to the metaverse. My strategy was to have a dispensary in the metaverse where brands could come to my dispensary and have that exposure. You know, just as a brand that's not really familiar with the metaverse. But I think this is the future, and it's definitely in the beginning. But I think it's here to stay for sure. Especially with e-commerce, there's a lot of big companies coming to the metaverse right now.
And I think just to piggyback what Roy was saying is, you know, you're just looking to capture as many eyeballs as possible, and how you can do that when Facebook doesn't let you advertise, Instagram doesn't let you advertise, and you know, basically there's not too many places that you can advertise your business in the digital space. You know, there's so many restrictions. So just to have something like this that's not regulated and that you can draw attention to your brands from people in all different states, in all different countries, and can all be in one place, I think that's really what, you know, us trying to be forward thinking about this whole situation, just trying to, you know, get as much eyeballs just as possible.
I mean, we're not selling avocados, right? Like if it was that easy, you know, we could do it. But unfortunately, cannabis has the stigma that it does, and I think we need to be early adopters of these kinds of technologies. And quite frankly, you know, that's how the internet began, right? Like, what were some of the original content adoption of the internet? Sorry to say, but a lot of it was adult content and gambling, things that, you know, you couldn't do because of regulations, etc. That the open nature of the internet has sort of opened that up. And I think that the cannabis industry specifically needs to fully adopt this new trend, because it's going to be the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, appreciate all you guys on that insight and on that point. You know, we don't have much time left, and I do want to save some time for questions. So if you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And if you guys have questions, we'll open it up to you guys as well here in the audience. But before we do that, I kind of just want to take another roundtable here and just go around and let me know what excites you the most about, you know, Web 3.0 and just moving forward. What is something that you're pumped to see, you know, as this space evolves, whether it's next month, next year, or next decade?
I'm learning every day just being on this panel. I'm excited to see every day what new developments are happening. And, I learned a lot just, from Roy and Matt and Ryan and, Brandon. I speak to him all the time and he's, teaching me, and I'm just excited to see what the future holds, just like you. I've just started buying NFTs myself, starting to create some NFTs also. It's a beautiful space that we're in. And I just want to keep learning and trying to get to a point where all of this stuff can benefit all the pot smokers out there, and eventually, the community is it's big, but it's really not that big. Everyone pretty much knows each other in this industry, especially the people, the brands that are in it. We all go to the same conventions, and we're all, so as much as like you're competing with them, these are all our we all bounce ideas off each other, and all really hope to see all of these brands really be successful, because like everyone is saying, we're just in the first inning of this thing. Even in cannabis, we're not federally legal. We're just really the start of this whole movement here in the last several years, and we're fighting the brands like myself and, and even Heisman, and, we're fighting against billion-dollar corporations that have raised billions and billions of dollars, and it's not easy, the industry that we're in, between banking and, just dealing with packaging and just dealing with all the bullshit that we need to do, excuse my French, that we deal with on a daily basis, having a space where people could go interact easily with each other, the whole concept of this, where all different states, all different countries can come to one place eventually and purchase your product, is just all in itself is just amazing.
I'm happy to jump in. So what excites me is very simple. I like to play a lot of online poker on my Oculus, and I usually take a poll. I'm sitting at a table, and for those of you who maybe haven't experienced it, it's pretty goddamn real. You're just sitting down, you have people around you, and you're playing poker for fake money, but you can interact, look left, right, and talk to people. And my avatar name is Cannaman, and I sit down, I'm like, hey, everybody here smoke weed? And everyone wants to have that conversation. Me too, I'm high right now. Oh, this is cool. And you're having this dialogue. And then I go to people and I'm like, hey, how cool would it be? Like, let's say you just lost a big pot or won a big pot, and someone sitting right next to you could like push a button and send weed to your house. And I think that can be a really interesting part of the future and a really interesting part of the metaverse, that if you can weave cannabis into the social fabric of experiences that are not even just cannabis specific. Like, it's one thing to drive people into a virtual dispensary or a cannabis club or what have you, but it's another thing to now have cannabis be a part of a shopping mall in the metaverse, or many other types of experience, a health spa. And so you get the ability to capture much bigger eyeballs and weave cannabis into something that otherwise it couldn't be woven into. You could literally do a deal with a yoga studio or a health spa in the metaverse and do a branding deal where they're promoting your cannabis product that then could be delivered to your house. So I think that the future that excites me is a virtual future where cannabis is as normal as Coca-Cola, without any regulators getting in the middle of things.
Yeah, I'll tap into that just because I know I'm always an Oculus too, and it's actually one of my favorite activities to do when I smoke. Like, that's what I do. I hop in, and I've been spent some time with actually my partners in Heisman. We get in there, we play mini golf, and we have conversations, and we're playing mini golf. But it looks like their avatars right there, and you're chilling. So that's an activity. Now, as far as like the industry from a consumer side, I think the consumer experience, like, because mind you, this is an immersive experiential situation. So in terms of being a creative brand, right, or even a creative meta dispensary, or even in the physical world with like AR capabilities, you're going to be able to start telling stories of the brands, of the flower that you're buying, of the products that you're buying. And so that's going to change the entire game. Currently you walk in, the experience is, a bud tender, just like, yeah, what are you looking for? All right, yeah, come over here, try this out. And you're just kind of comparing like percentages and this and that. Now imagine you go into that and it's bringing you into the whole story on how it came to be, how they cultivated it, who the people involved are, right? So I everything immersive, everything experiential is what excites me most about the future of what we're doing with this industry.
Yeah, for me, I just, it kind of combines some of the other answers, like what Alex is saying. The cannabis industry is hard. There's not one thing about it that's easy. Don't let anybody tell you different. And I found some new walls to beat my head against. It's amazing all the cool stuff that's happening here. It's amazing getting to meet people like Brandon, who's a part of our community. We have a community member who our NFT was the first NFT that he bought. This gentleman is incarcerated currently, and he's got an NFT collection that he launched. It's called Program Failures. And he did it from a smartphone, smuggled into prison, got the artwork created, minted them one by one on OpenSea. This guy's amazing. That's the legend. That guy's the legend, man. I mean, it's incredible what's happening here. It really is. It blows my mind every day. And that's the stuff I get most excited about is, yeah, it's all hard too. It's not a whole lot easier than the cannabis industry for sure. But there's so much exciting stuff happening. It's so fun to be a part of it.
Yeah, what excites me about the metaverse, like for the future, like I'm really excited to like see people actually accept cannabis too. I mean, like marijuana had a bad stigma for a long time. There's a lot of people in jail for it. So it feels good to be able to be a part of a community like with no restrictions. We're able to express ourselves, share our thoughts, and talk to fellow stoners, have fun in a virtual world on an Ethereum blockchain. Like I really love it a lot. Like right now, I'm like it gives me chills. Like I really love the blockchain a lot. So I like it a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, I want to tap in just one more time because I want to go back to the NFTs. I've been like so deep in the immersive component, but like even from an NFT component, like if you get to the point where you're able to prove, which strains that you were purchasing in which years, and you start talking about like limited drops within the industry, et cetera. And now we're talking 10, 15 years out, and you're like an OG and you're trying to tell the story to your kids or, your nephew or whatever. You're like, no, it's proven here on the blockchain. I smoked that. You'll never try it. I did that, and so there's just a lot of cool stuff when you're able to prove what you've done on this ledger. So it's another random thing. It's exciting.
Nice. So with that, I want to just thank you guys. But before I kind of let you go, I know, Ryan, you got to go into your Twitter spaces pretty soon here, hard stop at 8. So with that, I kind of want to take questions from the audience online. But before we do that, if you guys have any questions, would love to take some questions from you guys here in the audience. So if you have a question, definitely field it to us here in the panel. And I think we have a few, so I'll go with you first because you rose your hand first. So if you could just maybe just project your voice with the question.
Yeah, we talked about the space being unregulated. How long do you think that will last? Long term?
Can you repeat it one more time, please?
Everyone talked about the space being unregulated, which makes it very cannabis friendly, but how long do you think that will last?
I got you.
Go for it, Ryan.
Yeah. So it isn't unregulated. I think that's a misconception. Potentially metaverse activity that leads to criminal activity can be recorded, right? And your interactions with people in the metaverse, if you're harassing somebody, those regulations that exist in the real world are not going away. And NFTs, I'm here to tell you, there are people doing shady things out there. There's people doing wash sales on their NFT projects. There's pump and dump schemes out there, and the regulators are coming for them. It is happening right now. And those laws exist. Just because there aren't specific laws around NFTs, that doesn't matter. The substance, not the form, but the substance of the action is what the regulators are looking at now. So they're coming. We're going to start to see some high profile cases, I think, very, very quickly here with regulators coming in and making examples out of people who are engaging in shady practices.
I think if I could just add to that, maybe a clarifying point. When I'm referred myself to the fact that it's unregulated, specifically what I meant is the ability to advertise and market your products. So not so much that you could do shady stuff or you sell it, whatever, things that are bad for society, but more, like I said, you can do a deal with a health spa, you can do a bus advertisement in the metaverse, etc. Those are the kinds of things that the industry really needs. And if it's humans in the end of the day with eyeballs logging into an experience, you now have crazy great opportunities to promote and expose them to cannabis in ways that you otherwise couldn't in the real world. And
Yeah, exactly.
that may change as well over time, but I guess the nice thing about it is you can just move the audiences to different spaces. And okay, so one metaverse blocks it, but then everyone jumps on this adult or age verified metaverse, etc. But it probably will always be a cat and mouse game, but for now it's something that we can take advantage of.
It's a
Yeah,
trap house. You just moved all the trap houses to the metaverse.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's not like you can just we're in the metaverse. We're not going to just start shipping SAUCEY from California to New York because
Correct.
you went on the metaverse and
Correct.
purchased it in a store that's in the metaverse. We're not doing that. So,
Right.
but more the fact that you can come on the metaverse and you want to buy a hat or you want to buy a T-shirt or something, CBD product that is able to ship, we will definitely do that for you. And like Roy was saying, it's more about the advertising. It's just more about Facebook not letting us advertise, Instagram not letting us advertise, TikTok not, all the big companies out there, all the big social media companies not letting us advertise. If what he meant by not regulated is just be able to get our name and our products, at least get eyeballs on them. And we're not just because we're in the metaverse, we still need to follow all rules and regulations.
And in fact, that's what our company does at Ginger is we have that regulatorily compliant way to actually deliver the product. But the one thing every brand is missing is the ability to get eyeballs.
Me and you need to link anyway offline, Roy. So it's awesome.
Yeah, also, we all did our due diligence too before we got in the metaverse. Like, we just didn't jump in like going crazy. Like, we're all legal brands, so we don't have to really worry about the legal stuff because we follow the rules in real life as well. So before we went into the metaverse, we already had our ducks in a row as far as legal reasons. So if you have a brand and you're just a brand that just came out, and you don't have a legal brand, you can just jump in the metaverse and start shipping to people. So that would be considered illegal.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think that's very important. And, just to emphasize, if you are a cannabis brand licensed within a specific state or a CBD brand operating within, the Farm Bill, you still have to adhere to those state regulations. You can't just throw them by the wayside because now you're in a virtual world. And on top of that, these virtual worlds each have their own terms of use and end user license agreements that you as a user would have to abide by. Whether it's Sandbox, Decentraland, Crypto Voxels, they all forbid illegal activity in your jurisdiction. But the question is, how is illegal defined? Is it on a state, federal, or in a different country? So, it's just a caveat term. So it's definitely, you have to mind your P's and Q's, whether you're in a virtual world and certainly in the real world. But I also think we had a question right here. Yes.
Hello, it's a two-part question that I have. Which metaverse do you think is going to dominate, and how many metaverses are you investing in as a company or a brand?
Did everyone hear the question? The question was, which metaverse do you think will dominate, and how many metaverses are you as a company or brand planning to invest in?
Personally, me, I think like who's going to dominate is someone that's going to turn like Fortnite with all their users and just turn on their own type of metaverse, someone like that, or Roblox, which they already have, but more for like older and more for everyone to use, or one that's not out yet that we don't know, the ones that are popular, Decentraland and Sandbox. But in reality, AOL came out, AOL's a dinosaur now, right? So there's going to be new companies that are going to come out that I'm sure eventually everyone is going to use. I don't think the one that everyone is going to use, to be honest with you, I don't think it's even been created yet or we ever heard of it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like right now, we have to have a Rift or, some iteration of a big bulky machine on your head. As technology advances and we start getting gloves with haptic feedback or even Microsoft HoloLens types of contraptions on your face, that'll be more immersive. Right now, we're not having a critical mass of users in any type of metaverse as of right now. And truth be told, I bought an Oculus Rift about 2 months ago, and I probably only put it on 4 or 5 times, just because the bulkiness of it. So I'm waiting for that next iteration. I think many users are, and once we have that, we're going to have critical mass, and that's when the real e-commerce and money can be made. And we're starting to see already a lot of blue chip companies going to these metaverses. I think everyone's going to flood in when the next iteration starts to evolve. But do we have any more questions? Yes, you in the back.
Yeah, but nobody else is gonna be able to hear you.
So it's not really a question, more of a statement. And I feel like a lot of people kind of think of the metaverse, I wouldn't say in the wrong way, but to think of it as one singular thing is kind of not the way to think about it, because it defeats the whole purpose of blockchain, right? We want to think of blockchain or the metaverse as decentralized. That's the purpose of blockchain. So I think that the end goal of the metaverse or multiple metaverses is for them to be interoperable, right? For them all to communicate with one another. That way, assets can be traded and exchanged through different metaverses and experiences could be experienced in different metaverses, if that makes sense.
No, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, I'll chime in on that. So you're 100% right. I mean, for true metaverse to really exist, it has to all be interoperable, 100%. The thing is you have to look around. Like I said, I'm pointing out the things that were like super insane in terms of Facebook, their usage numbers, the hardware they own and what they're doing. And I think the scary part about that is that it is still centralized. So it's like, what move are they going to make? Are they going to play nice? Are they going to open it? Like, how's that going to work? Because I agree with you, and that's the whole point of NFTs. At the end of the day, it's ownership over these digital assets, and you should be able to take them kind of with you within the metaverse, and through these different platforms. So 100% on the same page as you with that one.
Yeah, I mean, in essence, I think that's what we're trying to do, right? A really decentralized platform. But when the internet first started, we kind of had that first theory that anyone could go on there and learn. But now we're dominated by, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google, all the FANG companies. It almost seems it's almost human nature to consolidate and centralize. Even from a commercial aspect, that's where the companies are going to go. To a centralized location, because that's where the users are. But I hope that we do keep that decentralized notion in it at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. And with that, we got any more questions from the virtual audience?
Do I have to read these?
Yeah.
Testing. What are some examples of how brands can collaborate in the metaverse? All right. Who wants to take that one?
I'll take that one. I think that, a good way for brands to think about the metaverse is from a retail perspective, where your job as a brand is to drive consumers into a retail transaction, either online or in a physical storefront. And so if you go into most of the metaverses today, there isn't a time going on there on a normal day, relative to the vast amounts of space that are there. And so I think what the brand needs to be thinking about is, how can I get people to come there? Not going, I'm going to be there and they're going to come to me. And that, at the end of the day, is that's the job of a brand, is to get people to go places and buy things. And I think that is the experience that they should expect to have.
Cool. Do we have any more questions, or is that it? That's it?
I think that's it.
All right.
Well, yeah, go for it.
I just stole his thunder.
Go for it.
So thank you to all of our panelists. VJ, thank you again for an amazing panel. Roy, Brandon, Matt, Ryan, Alex, you guys did great. I don't understand any of it. No, I'm kidding. But I thought it was an amazing panel. It's definitely a look towards the future of all industries. Thank you to Fox Rothschild and for First Federal Bank for sponsoring this event. Thank you to Doug's outfit because it is just amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you, Boveda.
Yeah.
Boveda is gonna be an additional sponsor tonight just because of Doug's outfit. But folks, again, if you enjoyed tonight's programming, we do this kind of stuff all the time. The next event will be the 420 party after Benzinga. Go to joinclab.com for more information on that. The next day we'll have the Legacy and Corporate Sitting at the Table Together panel. That'll be on 421 starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. We have 2 more programs in May, and then we have the June event on the 3rd and 4th at Mana and Wynwood. As much as we love the metaverse, I'm old school. I like to get together in person. We're gonna have a big event. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's in Miami. Come down, meet everybody in the cannabis industry. You're gonna have people from all walks of it, from the big corporations to the little guys everywhere else. So thank you again to our panel, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you so much.
Good
Thanks,
seeing you.
everyone.